Well, this master is the result of a joint effort of 4 European universities. So EU of Venice is part of the consortium together with TU Delft, KU Leuven and UPC Barcelona. So first of all, attending this master is a great opportunity, a great occasion to go through different traditions, different type of teaching and understanding the city. So first of all, I think this master is a very important experience for a student. And of course, this is an experience that is adding new culture, but also a new way to have a critic approach towards the city and the territory. So in this sense, I think that our students, when they conclude the master, they are more able to get into the market job. And till now, we see that the students ending our master are very, very easily included into offices or into urban projects, urban administrations, and so on. Well, normally when you graduate, you have a lot of enthusiasm, but sometimes it's not easy to find a trajectory, to find a direction. And normally also students in architecture, but not only, also students in civil engineers or landscape architecture, they really need to go a little bit deeper in some themes. And often the territorial project and the regional project, the urban project are among the themes that during the 5 years of architecture are not fully exploited and understood. So there are many students that think that to spend some time more to study what concerns the city and the territory is a useful way to become more mature also as architects, but not only as architects. So I suggest, yes, quite strongly to get into this trajectory, which is a way, of course, to become a different kind of student, because master students, postgraduate master students are not so young, are not so, they start to be adults, so they have they do their research in a different way. They are more autonomous. They often, for example, doing this master, they start to reflect on the possibility of doing a PhD. So that's also interesting, the relation between master and PhD. And some of them then, of course, look for different trajectories. After the diploma, while trying to get more secure and more convinced of what you want to do in your working experience, a master can be a very good occasion to exchange with other kind of people, with other type of situations. And in this sense, a European master in urbanism is a very good starting point. Our master is open to architects, as I said before, civil engineers, landscape architects. We can make some exceptions in some cases for geographers, but it is important to clarify that at the center of this master there is design. So we are interested in designing cities and territories. So we look for students that are very, very motivated in terms of designing the city. And this is the core of our master. But it's open also to different figures. So as I said, we have also students coming from other disciplines, but they are more exceptions. The core are architects, engineers, and landscape architects. This master is, as I said, a postgraduate master, and it was discussed at the beginning among these four schools, because we had the impression that there was a need to reflect on the contemporary city, on the contemporary space, and the incredible transformations that they are going through. Just a few references to the big transformations in the Asian cities, for example, or in some Latin American cities, but also European cities are changing very much. So the big transformations are mainly, in our opinion, urban transformations, economic, of course, social, but the space in which this transformation can be appreciated is the urban space. So we think that in a reflection, an innovative reflection on urbanism, in the sense of the design of cities and territories, is absolutely crucial today. And this is the aim of this master, to involve students in a research process. We want students with whom we can really study, understand, critically understanding the urban processes in this very crucial moment in which so many new things are appearing, so many changes are appearing. When we think to climate change, when we think to the energy problem, when we think to the social dualization, to the more and more distance between rich and poor, when we think to this new urban question, we think that urbanism is really fundamental. And urbanism as a place of projects, as a way to design. So that's a little bit our point. And we think that is quite original, and there are not so many other programs of this kind that merge the different European traditions, important European traditions like the Dutch tradition, for example, or of course our tradition in this school, or the Spanish tradition, and Leuven also. Leuven is a good and big university tradition. And we think that it's a very original type of problem in which different point of view can be understood by the students, that can go through the different schools and understanding different approaches. So the master is a 2-year master, and the students are asked to go through the different universities. At least one semester, but preferably 2 semesters should be spent in the different schools. And then there is a thesis work at the end, in the 4th semester, in which different professors should be involved from different schools. So in fact, the student has the possibility to really work with different professors. And in our school, so in this master put some key issues at the center, some key issues connected to the urban questions of today, so from territories of dispersion, so what we call the diffuse city, which is a phenomenon that is interesting in many countries, not just in Italy or in some parts of Europe, or the emerging countries, emerging cities, where we are interested to understand, for example, the process of quick change, of dramatic change that are happening in many parts of the world, or cultural heritage and so on. So there are several key issues that can be, that are a little bit leading and guiding the selection of themes and the selection of sites where to work. But in our school in Venice, at UAV, we selected some of these key issues. So we mainly are interested to reflect on processes of dispersion, so the diffuse city, together with processes of metropolization, so the metropolis, the big metropolis, this new, the changes that are affecting big urban areas on one side, and on the other we are in the 2nd semester, we are looking through the lens, through the gaze of cultural heritage, to understand how the long processes of transformation, the history is playing a role in designing the contemporary world. So cultural heritage on one side, and recent contemporary processes of diffusion, of construction of big urban areas. These are the key issues we follow in Venice through different operations, design operations, and especially in the semester, the fall semester, we focus on the scenario construction. So the idea that we have to think about the future, and that we can work with the design instruments to reflect about the future. So scenario construction is at the core of our semester, together with a great attention to the description of the territory. In the semester, the spring semester, that is dedicated to cultural heritage, again, description, so design as a descriptive tool is very much integrated in the work, and the interest for strategies, urban strategies, that can deal with these conditions of heritage that needs, of course, a certain ability to work with existing materials, with existing infrastructures. So I should say that scenario construction is a key word for people and students interested in work with us. Cultural heritage in the condition of the Venetian lagoon and Venetian territory is also a very clear, interesting point. So maybe these are elements that can be attractive for some students to understand better, to go deeper. This is important to reflect on space, on the role of space also in economical terms. In this moment of crisis, economic crisis, we have to recognize that space matters. Space can have a role. And we think that this is exactly the moment in which policies about cities, about territories must be put at the foreground. We need to start from them. Also because it is in the space that injustice often happens. So how can we reflect on space in a way that a design, a transformation of space, a reflection about the future of this space can be part of the debate, of a public debate, which is more general and in which I think we have to get a voice. This attitude of responsibility towards, a wider condition, urban condition, is, I think, also part of our work. So space at the center, and working through the tools of design on the urban space. We think that this is important for all societies, so also for economy.